What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to another episode of your potentially favorite Nigerian podcast. Bear with me, your host, General Prime. We are now officially in the second half of the year of our Lord 2025. We're now officially in summer, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but summer to me is usually like the worst time of the year for me because of how hellishly hot everywhere usually is, and it's so uncomfortable and sticky and just unnecessarily hot. I just hate summer. I don't know if anybody else feels this way. As someone that comes from a tropical part of Africa, which is Nigeria, like summer in Europe is just so uncomfortable and also long, like so fucking unnecessarily long. And that's the season that we are currently in right now, and I just wish that like it can end as quickly as it has become, as quickly as it began. But the reality is we just have to like go through it, and yeah, that's that about that. We're actually officially in summer right now, and I hope everybody's chilling, going about their daily lives. There is actually nothing in particular that I have, or that I have or want to talk about today. I was actually considering talking about there's this topic that has been brewing in my head for a very long time, but I haven't yet completed like the thought process and the whole story of it in my head is incomplete. So there's no, like, I don't want to actually like go into it right now because it's not yet complete. So I am deciding to talk about something else, which most Nigerians, most Africans find uncomfortable. Most Nigerians find to be a taboo to talk about, and that is actually the topic of atheism and religion in general. So today I am going to be talking about how or why I am why I am not a Christian. Actually, I lost my faith, like, I don't know, it's been going to about fucking 10 years now that I have no, like, it's been 10 years since I lost my faith, basically. It's been 10 years since I stopped being a Christian. 10 years since, the whole idea and ideology of Christianity and religion in general got lost on me. And this video is going to be like me trying to explain why, coming from a Christian background, coming from an African background, coming from a Nigerian background where religion cannot be joked with. Religion should not be joked with. Religion is not joked with, actually, where religion is like paramount above every other thing. And if you're not a religious person, if you're not a Christian in Nigeria, you're seen as lesser than, you're seen as sinful, you're seen as probably a bad person. Like if in Nigeria, if you don't believe in God, they automatically term you to be like a devil worshipper. They automatically term you to be an evil person, an armed robber, a thief, or just like a despicable person. So the whole idea of Christianity in Nigeria is something, or should I say religion in general in Nigeria, is something that Nigerians take like very, very seriously, even more than their own health, even more than their own lives. Like in northern Nigeria, where it is predominantly Islamic, if you like leave your faith, if you leave the Islamic faith, you're most likely going to get killed. It's not like you're most likely. It has happened. It happens a lot in northern Nigeria where people leave their faiths or people abandon Islam, and they get targeted. Some of them, they get injured, they get killed, actually. And it's not something that they take very lightly. And it's also the same way in the southern part of Nigeria, where it is also predominantly Christian. But they don't like actually take your life. They kind of destroy your life in other ways. And me being somebody that lost my faith a long time ago, and thankfully and luckily for me, I've not been in Nigeria for a very long time. I haven't dealt with that because I left Nigeria when I was like actually very young, and also lost my faith around that time, and so I haven't actually dealt with the reality of losing your faith as a Nigerian, because it's a, as in, when I mean like it's an actual, when I mean that it's a serious thing, like we Nigerians, we don't take it like lightly. We don't take it lightly. If you're found out, as in I'm trying to like I'm trying to like buttress this point that if you're found out to be an atheist or somebody that's irreligious in Nigeria, or somebody that is a religion of another faith that is not even, let's say you're a Buddhist in Nigeria, bro, people are going to look at you like you're a devil worshipper. Do you understand? So because Nigerians are this, we are very myopic people. We don't like to change our perspective. We are very adamant at changing our worldviews. We are very rigid people. So once there is something that we have found to be we are found to be convenient to believe in, we stick to it for a very long time, and it would be very, very difficult for us to change that perspective, or for us to change our minds. Well, Nigerians are not as open-hearted as the rest of the world or the Western world and stuff like that. So the reason why I want to make this video, the reason why I want to talk about this today, is because to finish the point I was making, in the southern part of Nigeria, where it is predominantly Christian, they don't they don't go out of their ways to like actually end your life or kill you, but they can destroy your life in other ways, where you get isolated, where you get ridiculed, where you get people just like, they don't enter, as in you're essentially banished from the tribe. You're essentially disrespected. They don't regard you that much again, and so that can have an effect on somebody's psyche. That can have an effect on somebody in somebody's life. And but thankfully, I've been here for a very long time, and I haven't really felt what it, I don't really know what it feels like to be an atheist in Nigeria, even though that's something that I'm sensible enough to understand I have to keep to myself. Because if I like go back to Nigeria and I start preaching to everybody, you know how people are usually very loud and open about their apostasy here in the Western world. It's not something that is possible in Nigeria, because if you go back to Nigeria and start telling everybody that, oh, you're an atheist, and you want to have debates with people, or you want to have interactions or conversations with people about atheism, you're most likely going to lose your life. That is just the truth about it. You're most likely going to lose a lot of important people in your life. You're actually maybe going to lose job opportunities, or opportunities in general. People will not regard you. People will not want to like bring you into their circles, because somebody who doesn't believe in God automatically believes in the devil. It's automatically a devil worshipper, and so people don't want to like associate themselves with that kind of like lifestyle. I don't know why atheism I don't know why people think atheism is a lifestyle. So the reason why I want to make this video today is because I actually want to try to make specifically like this is a video talking directly to my mom, if my mom is going to like listen to this, because like I said earlier, I've been an atheist for a very long time, and it's not the conversations I've had, because my parents are like especially my mom, like you understand how women can be very, very sentimental and very emotional about these kind of things, and they don't approach it with logic. They approach it with emotions. They approach it with sentiments and stuff like that. And so, even though I've not really had a very detailed or very, very precise or detailed conversation about my lack of belief with my mom, who happens to be a very over religious person, and I'm thankful for that, I still don't escape, like I still don't escape that once in a while kind of like shade of how I don't believe in God and stuff like that. Like I still get it sometimes, you understand? Like when I call my mom and we're having discussions, or we're just like talking, and then she brings it up, it's always like it's always like she's forcing it on you, or should I say she's forcing it on me, and most times I just like brush it off. But lately, lately it has gotten to the point where she now uses it as like a kind of guilt tripping, because life is let me just like life is weird. That's the best way I can put it. Life is weird, life is odd, right? And we come into this world, and where we start we start observing and start interacting with things, and um we we are we are told that there are certain things that you have to be and certain things that you have to do to become quote unquote a successful person in life. And when you're not successful, obviously the societal norm in on our planet is that when you're not a successful person, especially in Nigeria, people will look down on you. People would people won't take you seriously. People won't acknowledge you. People won't respect you, even though most successful people, a lot of successful people, I'm not going to say all, a lot of successful people, and as in, I'm not going to say they're not good people. I'm not going to like just generalize like that. But in Nigeria, if you're a successful person, regardless of how you got your money, you're going to be respected, you're going to be regarded, you're going to be revered. But if you're not successful, if you don't have money, if you're not a rich man, even though you're quote unquote a good person, even though you try to live your life as best as you can, even though you're kind to other people, even though you're considerate, even though you're helpful, if you don't have money, you're still a nobody. I mean, that's just how it is in the world. I'm not going to I'm not going to say that this kind of behavior is specific to Nigeria or to Nigerians. It's just how life is, right? But the truth of the matter is that um, I always try to make this example of how an acorn, like an oak tree, right? When an oak tree produces acorn and all the acorns fall, um, most of the acorns are not going to sprout into oak trees. Most of them are just going to be laid there dormant for the rest of time. You understand? It's only a few that will go on to become oak trees. So this is how I see just humanity. Basically, this is how I see life. This is just how I take things in my life. And I've made my peace with that fact that like not everybody is going to be successful, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to strive to want to be a successful person. I'm this kind of person that I haven't really been I have never been able to like just fit in. Like since I was born, I've never felt like I fit in anywhere. Like I usually don't have friends, or I don't have people I talk to. I don't have like my group, my clique and stuff like that. I don't really have a circle. Like I'm always alone because I've always felt like an outsider. I've always felt like there is nowhere in this world that that it's rare for me to find something that I can call my thing. Even if I find something that I want to be like my own, I end up getting bored with it, or I end up getting like the inspiration that it initially comes with dries up, and then I leave it and try to find something else. So because of that, I haven't really found my thing. Like I always talk about how I envy people that come into this world and knowing who they are, like from the onset, knowing what they want to do with their lives from the beginning, and then they spend the rest of their lives obsessing over it and chasing after it and doing whatever it is to achieve what they want to, as in to be that person that they've always dreamt of being, or they've always seen themselves as. So I always like envy those kind of people. I always envy people that that find their thing early in life. So that's why I always talk about, I always like try to ask the question that maybe life is all about predestination, or life is all about predeterminism, where you come into this world and everybody in this world has a purpose, but not everybody realizes it. I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but what I'm trying to say is that everybody comes into this world, right? But not everybody is given a purpose in this world. Not everybody is meant to win. Is a game of numbers. So not everybody comes into this world thinking that they're going to be like successful, or thinking that they are going to be I don't know, they are going to be popular or known, or the richest man, or they're going to contribute positively to the world or something, or any of that stuff. But it's only a few people, only a handful of people that end up um being prominent in life. Only a handful of people. If you actually think of it, like if you consider the amount of people on earth that have ever existed ever, and then ratio it with the amount of people that have been hyper successful, and people that their names have lived over time, and you compare the amount, like you see that there are more people, there are more unknown people that have ever existed than known people that have ever existed. Do you understand that? I don't know if anybody can understand what I'm trying to say. And so I always feel like in this world there are people that are meant to be winners. There are people that come into this world with the power, or should I say with the privilege of being of eventually turning out to be winners and leaders and kings and stuff like that, while there are a lot more people that come into this world to be followers and slaves and all of that stuff. So, but I'm not saying that that's me. I'm just saying that there are also people that it takes time for them. You understand? Like it takes time for them to eventually find themselves, eventually find their thing, eventually become who they are meant to become, eventually become successful in life, eventually become acknowledged and respected and stuff like that. And it takes, as in it varies for a lot of people. There are people that can find themselves or find their thing when they are very young, and there are people that can find themselves and find their thing when they are very old. There are also people that can try a lot during their lifetime. Like for example, I like using Franz Kafka, like the writer, right? I like using him, and also H.P. Lovecraft. I like using them as examples. Like these are people that in their time they were like they wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and did a lot of things to no avail, right? But then when they died, and fast forward to like maybe 100 years later, or like 200 years later, or something like that, should I say 60 years later, let's just go with 100 years later, right? When 100 years later, they are now very prominent, they're now very known, they're now well respected, but at the cost of them not being alive to witness it, or to be a part of it, basically. So this is just how life is. Life is varied. Life is just like that. But in Nigeria, we don't accept it. It's not that we don't accept it. We just don't want to acknowledge that this is how life is. So if you're not somewhere at a certain age, you're automatically considered a failure in Nigeria. If you're not somebody at a certain age, if you're not doing something at a certain point of time in your life, you start getting, people start taking you less seriously. People start looking at you like, oh, this person is not serious in life, or he doesn't know what he's doing, or he doesn't just care, or something like that. In Nigeria, you have to have money in Nigeria for you to be respected. Like money is what brings respect in Nigeria. If you're not a rich person, even as in like there is no, like I always talk about how humanity in Nigeria is kind of dwindling, and that's because like there is no love in Nigeria. In Nigeria, if you want to be in a relationship, you have to have money. Like if you want to be in a loving relationship, you have to have money. You understand? If you want to be respected in Nigeria, you have to have money, regardless of, even if you're a cross-dresser in Nigeria. We have this cross-dresser they call that's fucking Bobrisky, right? This is somebody that is a cross-dresser. Like in Nigeria, the very act of homosexuality is not only a sin. It's like it can be punishable by death. It can be punishable by public ridicule. As in, people don't take all those kind of lifestyles lightly in Nigeria. But if you have money, like this Bobrisky person I'm talking about, he's a very wealthy person. He's a very influential person, and it's kind of ironic and surprising to me that Nigerians love him, regardless of the fact that he's a cross-dresser and he's gay and stuff like that. But then you see other videos. If you see other videos online of people that are caught, or should I say gay people that are caught, but they are not influential, they are unknown, they are quote unquote nobodies, and they are ridiculed publicly, they are violently, as in punished publicly. Some of them are banished from their community just for being gay. But those same people that are banishing let me not say fucking, these gay people just because they don't have money or because they are nobodies are the same people that go to Bobrisky's page and hail him and go to his DMs and talk, like just worship him basically. And so I find it very fucked up and very weird and ironic how these people can hold these two opposing worldviews and not have it and not see anything wrong with it. So that's just the same thing that happens in Nigeria. If you just have to have money in Nigeria. Money is more, as in, we always talk, Nigerians are very, very religious people, and that is the theme of this video. But the main god that Nigerians worship is money. You understand? The main god that Nigerians worship is money. Regardless of whoever you are, if you don't have money, you will not be respected. Also, regardless of whoever you are and however you got your wealth and your success, if you have money, Nigerians are going to respect you. So that is just the thing. Now, coming back to me, as somebody that have not quote unquote made it in life, right? And now you now fuse the fact that I've not made it in life with the fact that I'm an atheist, that I don't believe in God. That is just the worst. God, that is just the worst thing that you can be in Nigeria. Somebody who is poor or who is broke and has not made it in life, and at the same time, this person that has not made it in life, you understand, now happens to not believe in God. He's not a Christian. He does not believe in God. He does not go to church. He does not read the Bible. You're the worst you're even worse than a gay person in Nigeria. You're worse than a gay person. At least the gay people, they kind of, believe in God and stuff like that. But you don't believe in God and you're not rich. You fool. You fool. So that's why I want to talk about this. That's what I want to talk about today, right? The fact that, there are a lot of people in Nigeria that are going through this problem. Let me just call it a problem, because it's actually a problem, but they are usually very silent about it. But me, I have this platform and I want to be as outspoken as I can be. I don't like this fucking microphone like drawing down my shit. So lately I've been talking to my mom, right, and she has been kind of like hinting at the fact that, oh my nigga, you're not made it in life, and you're here talking about how you don't believe in God. Like, she's always like kind of like using it to guilt trip me and telling me that, oh, since you've not, why can't you pray to God to change your life? Or should I say, why can't you pray to God to make a way for you? You know how Nigerian parents always talk now. But I know she means well. This is one of the dangers of religion, where somebody can mean well, but in actuality, they'll be doing you more harm than good. Like, this is one of the many dangers of religion, and this is one of the many things I'm going to be talking about and covering today. Boy, are we in for a ride. I thought I didn't actually have anything to talk about, but here we fucking are. So, I don't like that fact that they use this kind of thing to guilt trip people. Or should I say, I don't like the fact that Nigerian parents use this kind of, they are this manipulative, even though they mean well, even though they don't actually, I don't know anyways, but this is just how I perceive it. This is just how I am receiving and understanding it, that you're using this thing that I actually, it's not even, I'm going to talk about why I actually don't even believe in the God. I know I've made hints of it here and there in previous episodes, but today I'm dedicating this entire episode to why I don't believe in God. So be and fuck with me. So even though they don't like really, it's not something that they don't have any ulterior motives in mind, or should I say, my mom doesn't have any ulterior motives in mind. She just wants the best for me, and she's using this as an avenue to try to get me to see things from her own perspective. The truth of the matter is that, and they always talk about how maybe I'm angry with God because of life's hardship, or because I'm not successful, or because they always give these normal, useless, stupid Christian excuses that you're angry with God because God did not give you this, or God, like if I was God, right? Let's assume that God exists and I am God, and somebody's angry with me because they are feeling entitled Like, bro, what kind of love is that? That to me, that's not love. Like, to me, that's not a relationship. To me, that's kind of like a parasocial relationship or a one-sided relationship where or you see, another thing again that another thing again is that this is the base, or should I say, this is the basic um logic, or should I say, this is the basic way of thinking of the average Nigerian, that for you to be in love with someone, like for you to fall in love with someone, or for you to have a genuine relation, you don't even, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. For you to have a genuine relationship with someone, that person there has to be something that you're gaining from that person financially or economically. You understand? That is just how we Nigerians think. Like, if you have a friend in Nigeria and you have not spoken to the friend for a very long time, the person will start thinking that maybe it's because um or maybe it's because there's nothing that they're gaining from you. I don't know. There's this mentality that we have in Nigeria where everything is just centered around money, or centered around what you can get from the other person. And if you're not getting something from the other person, then there's no point having a relationship with the person. So they take that mentality and then like kind of like stuff it into religion, to where you have to get something from God for for that relationship between you and God to be considered valid, for that relationship between you and God to be considered real, for that relationship between you and God to be considered true. You understand? You have to there has to be, as in, there has to be a connection, there has to be an economic connection, there has to be a financial connection between you and God for your relationship with God to be a quote unquote true relationship. Because Nigeria is a place where there is a lot of insecurity, there is a lot of uncertainty, and because of the fact that there is so much uncertainty in Nigeria, the entirety of Nigeria, the everybody in Nigeria have been kind of um forced to have this mentality that, because there is insecurity in Nigeria, right? And there's uncertainty in Nigeria. So everybody is kind of like forced to, as in forced to as in everybody is kind of has evolved to believe that the only thing that, or should I say the only, because everybody has in Nigeria, there's something we call on your own. You're always on your own. Like nobody can help you in Nigeria. I was in my previous episode, I was talking about how a lot of people find themselves in problems, like people that are drug addicts, people that find themselves in accidents, people that are suicidal and stuff like that. And in like there is no organization in Nigeria we have that helps people that are suicidal. There is no organization that we have in Nigeria that help people that are drug addicts. And the medical organizations that we have in Nigeria will not attend to you if you don't have money. There's this video of a guy that he was rushing his pregnant wife to the hospital, and he was making a video of it, and he was like consoling his wife and telling his wife that she should hold on and she should not die, and she should just hold on, that they're going to the hospital, they're going to get to the hospital. And but by the time when he got to the hospital, they didn't admit, they didn't agree to admit the wife because the man didn't have 500,000 naira to add for the hospital bills, and eventually the wife died. Like, this is the kind of fucking mentality we have in Nigeria, where it pisses me off. Actually, it actually pisses me off. The fucking mentality where money is paramount. Like, money. Nigerians are very religious people. Let me just make this point again. I hope everybody can understand this. Nigerians are very, very religious people. We like to bind and cast and pray and claim that we are in relationship with God. But at the end of the day, bro, the truth of the matter is that the God that Nigerians worship is money. I mean, look at the pastors. Don't worry, I'll get there. Relax. We're getting there, and we're just 30 fucking minutes in, and I've not even started to make my points. So, yeah, to come back to what I was saying, right? So my mom usually guilts me with this whole, you have to give your life to Christ, and you've tried every other thing that you can try, and nothing is working out for you. So why don't you like give your life to Christ, and maybe things will turn around for you and you now become successful. She means well, don't get me wrong. She means well. Every mother means well when they say when they say these kind of things. And then she gives you examples of how her friends' children are doing well because they themselves are fucking, they are Christians too, and they believe in God and they always pray, and them, they are doing very, very well in life. And like, I hate, there's one thing I hate with African parents where they use other children as examples, and they use them as examples of how your own, as in you're supposed to behave. Like, they use other children as examples of how their own children are supposed to behave, as if they as in they have an all-seeing eye kind of perspective on those children, to know, to then kind of like come to the conclusion that those children are perfect and they're without any flaws and stuff, and those children are just like the quintessentially how every child is supposed to be. So when African parents do these things, when they do these things, like they used to do it when we were young, right? Our parents used to do it too, and I'm sure any Nigerian watching this can like relate to it, where they always use other children as examples of how you're supposed to behave. It's crazy, it's annoying. You understand? Like, it's actually very annoying, and it's kind of annoying when now you're grown up and they're still doing that kind of nonsense where they're using other children as an example of how you're supposed to be and you're supposed to behave and who you're supposed to be, like, without understanding that life is just different. Life is different for, like, all fingers are not fucking equal. Do you understand? Like, everybody has their time. Everybody has their fucking time. Like, everything is going to happen to everybody eventually, good or bad. Everything is going to happen to everybody eventually. So when they do these kind of things, like, it pisses me off, right? Like, they're using other children, they're using other people, her friends' kids, as when she uses her friends' kids as examples of oh, this person is a Christian and he prays all the time, and look at his life, is this and that, and you're like, but I'm not a criminal, I'm not a thief, I'm not a womanizer, I'm not a drunk, I'm not a Yahoo boy, I'm not a ritualist, I'm just living my life as best as I can. They don't see any of these, like, these values, like life, as in they don't see any of it, they don't consider any of it. The only thing they consider is you have to have, as in the only thing that they consider is you have to have money. Like, you have to have money. If you don't have money, it's not it, bro. So when they use these examples, right, it pisses me off. Rightfully, it pisses me off. And so today I'm going to try to explain to every Nigerian watching this, including hopefully my mom, why I am not a Christian. The reason why I am not a Christian is because it's not because I am going through economic or hardship, or I'm going through financial hardship or something like that. That's not the reason why I am not a Christian. In fact, if that is the reason why I am not a Christian, then I was never a Christian to begin with in the first place. Like, if that is the reason why anybody lost their faith, like, if you're listening to this, and I don't like how this stuff looks like. If you're listening to this, right, and you lost your faith because maybe you were praying to God for something, for some financial breakthrough, and you didn't get it, then to me, you were never a Christian. You were just like, you were faking it. You understand? You were faking it. And so the reason why I'm not a Christian is not because of any of that. Like, that is a very bad excuse for people who lose their faith. The reason why I'm actually not a Christian is because for someone who, like, I love reading, right? Like, I love reading a lot. For someone who has read the Bible cover to cover, like, twice, 2 or 3 times now, it just does not make any sense to me. That is the first thing I can, like, that. Let me just start with that. Like, the Bible actually doesn't make any sense to me because there are a lot of contradictions in the Bible, as we all know. There are a lot of flaws in the Bible, and also the people who claim to be writers of the books of the Bible are actually not writers of the books of the Bible. They are people that, like for example, Moses did not write the first 5 books of the Bible. It was not Moses that wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. The first 5 books of the Bible were written by 2 or 3 other people, and at different times. You understand? Now, that is the first. I'm not going to, like, go too much details. I'm not going to, like, dive too deep into it. I'm just going to, like, give you the surface level reasons first of all, and as time goes on, we get deeper and deeper into it. Now, the second reason why I don't believe in the Bible is for as long as I can remember, right? Like even when I was like a child, when I was a kid, and when we used to have like Bible studies, and when we used to have Bible studies, and when we're reading about the story of the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve and stuff like that. Um, when the Bible was talking about how all animals all animals eat grass in Genesis, right? When the Bible talked about how all animals ate grass, and I was like, and even back then, I can remember when I was like young, when I was still a fucking child, I can remember I was like, even lions, even lions eat grass. Like it didn't make much sense to me because if you look at the physiology of a lion, right, it has claws, it has the ability to see in the fucking night, it has like teeth, it's fast, it's rabid, it's wild, and to then kind of like just bring it down to the level of it just eating grass. It never made that much sense to me. But I didn't, as in, it didn't, that wasn't yet enough for me to, just consider. I was a child anyway, and I was already ingrained in that society of where you have to be a Christian, like you have to be a believer because I was still under my parents. And so, like, it didn't, like, even though it didn't make much sense to me, like, I just didn't think much of about it until I got to the point where I was on my own, and then I was able to like investigate these things for myself. And then I started reading books and started reading the Bible itself, actually, and found out that, oh, the Bible is not even like what's the 66 books of the Bible that Christians have today is incomplete. There are other books of the Bible, the Apocrypha and the rest that were removed from the Bible because, those ones were not, they were considered, the people that removed those texts from the Bible didn't think they'll be good enough to be left there, to be left in the current Bible. And also, Christians assume that the way things are, the way like modern day Christianity is today, is how it has always been, both in its cultural context, both in its belief, both in its as in philosophy and stuff like that. Like Christians think that the way the Bible is, they literally believe that the Bible is the literal word of God. Like Nigerian Christians think that the Bible is as in God Himself. You understand? Like how they say Nigerians always talk about how the Bible was inspired by God, and how they understand that is that God was probably dictating the Bible, dictating things as in God, dictating the Bible to the authors, right? The writers like John and Mark and Matthew and fucking Elijah and Elisha and what's his name, fucking Moses and the rest of them. Like when you hear Nigerian Christians say that the Bible is God's like inspiration, like this is how they imagine it to be, like God was actually kind of like dictating it and then somebody was like writing it down, not knowing that the Bible is like, first of all, the Christian Bible today, the Old Testament is the Jewish Torah. You understand? The Old Testament is the Jewish Torah, and it belongs to the Jews. Like it actually belongs to the Jews. There is nothing Christian about it. The God in the Old Testament is entirely different from the God in the New Testament. The God of the Old Testament is vengeful. He's actually evil. Like there are so many instances in the Bible where he tricks people and he fucking puts people in scenarios where it's a lose-lose situation, and the only, as in like, the God of the Bible is not a good guy. You understand? He's not a good guy. And Christians, another problem we have in Nigeria is that a lot of people don't actually read the Bible. Do you understand? A lot of people don't actually read the Bible from cover to cover. They just read parts that have been dictated for them by their pastors and their reverend fathers and stuff like that. They don't actually read the Bible investigatively to actually know what it's talking about. They don't. When you tell a Christian that there are contradictions in the Bible, like for example, Moses being the author of the first five books of the Bible, but then dying in Deuteronomy, like that does not compute. You understand? When you make all these points to Christians, or when you talk about, let's say, like the point I made earlier about animals, like wild animals eating grass, or the the Noah story, where like the ark, and how you have to like bring a pair of animals from all everywhere in the world, and then you fit every pair of animal in the ark. Like, all of these things don't make any sense. Or how God said, "Let there be light," on what, the second day? What was that? The second, like, if God said, "Let there be light," on the second day, like, how had 2 days passed? Or the Adam and Eve story, where God told them not to like eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and if they did, if they do that, they are going to die. How did they understand what death was when nothing else, in fact, had died prior to that time? Like, how did they come? As in, how were they conscious enough to understand what God was actually talking about? Like, these are things that a lot of Nigerian Christians, particularly, don't actually believe in, or don't actually, consider or think deeply about. They just believe in, there is this surface level belief in God in Nigeria, where, oh, the basic thing is God exists, and then make of that what you will. That's actually what happens in Nigeria. Like, in Nigeria, we have this like God exists mentality, but because probably they have a belief that Jesus died for their sin, and Jesus died for their sins, then they can just do whatever the fuck they want to do. Doesn't make much sense to me. So, another thing again why I don't believe in God is, another reason why I actually don't believe in God is that, if you look at, there are thousands of religions. That is another one. There are literal thousands of religions scattered all over the world, practiced by everybody. And even in the Christian religion itself, there are thousands of Christian denominations where all of them don't actually believe in each other. Like, they all have different ideas of what God is. They all have different ideas of who Jesus was. They all have different ideas of what heaven is and what hell is. They all have different ideas of what the devil is. Some of them have their own prophets and their saints and their own highly regarded religious figures. Some of them worship Mary. Some of them, like, there is so much going on. There is no oneness to it. There is no coherence to it. There is no uniformity. There is no pattern. There's no pattern to it. It's just scattered. It's just incoherent. And it doesn't look to me like there is a God in charge of it all. Like, if you're a God, right, and you want to have a relationship with your creation. I mean, in the Greek mythology, the gods used to actually come down to the people. The gods used to come down and have conversations with people and have relationships with people, even though, like, Zeus used to like have it. Zeus used to fuck a lot of people. But not only in the Greek mythology, like in the Norse mythology also, like Odin comes down, like Thor comes down, Loki, like all of them always, like, there's always this coherence, and there's always this I see, that, okay, yes, this person, even though they disguise themselves, it usually gets to a point where it gets revealed that, oh, I was actually talking to Odin. Oh, I was actually talking to Loki. Oh, I was actually talking to Zeus. Do you understand? Like, there's always an actual relationship, but in Christianity, right, it's all about faith. You just have to have faith. Like, that is not enough. If I was a God and I want to have a relationship with my creation, the relationship is not going to be based on faith. It's going to be a factual. You understand? It's going to be something that is as sure as, like, the next day. You understand? It's going to be as sure as the setting or the rising of the sun. That's how to have a relationship with your creation. You just don't create and then become mysterious and give them a fucking book, an incoherent book that is incomplete and does not hold, as in, like, it's outdated. The Bible is outdated. Does not, like, it does not compute in our current fucking, as in this day and age. It does not hold water. You understand? The things that happen in the Bible, in cultural context, cannot, like, except in some very, very backward places, it cannot work well today in this day and age. It just won't make any sense. Like, how the Bible talks about how if you want to, there is this part of the Bible where it says um, if you want to have a goat, if you want to give birth to a goat that has stripes, you have to tie sticks together and make two goats have sex in front of the stick so that when their offspring will have stripes. Like, if the Bible does not know about the as in the Bible does not know about disease. Do you understand? Germ and disease theory. The Bible does not know about that. The Bible does not know about space. The Bible thinks that the stars in the sky are like, I don't know. I was talking about something about how the stars in the sky are going to fall down to earth. That means it does not know what those things are. Like, the Bible is that is how outdated the Bible is. Like, there is so much that the Bible gets wrong. And thanks to modern science, thanks to insight, thanks to the expansion of the human mind, there's so much that we have learned now about ourselves, about our planet, about our reality, that we actually don't need the Bible anymore to explain those things to us. But many Nigerian Christians will not, as in, they always talk about how God is a spirit, and God, the understanding of God is like, I don't know, fucking filthy rag or something to humans' understanding, and God is like omnipotent, and God is the most. They just give you useless excuses useless excuses that are tiring. Like, when you are unfortunate enough to debate religion with a Nigerian Christian, and you hear the things coming out of, normally we Nigerians in general, not to be condescending or insulting. Thank you. Not to be condescending or insulting to Nigerians, but Nigerians are already, like, by default, we are already very crazy people, right? We are, as in, there's something wrong with the average Nigerian, including me. There's something wrong with the average Nigerian. I talk about how Nigeria is not a country. Nigeria is a science project where aliens try to think of what will happen if you put 200 million crazy people in one geographical location. Like, this is Nigeria is a science project, and this is what is going on, right? So normal, like, there's no, like, there's this saying, like, if they try to explain to you what is going on in Nigeria, you understand it. God, and you understand it, bro. That means there's something, like, Nigeria, you cannot just understand it. Nigeria is unique. That is the best way to put it, bro. Nigeria is unique. Like, Nigeria is weird. Is a weird place. So now, if you're unfortunate enough to be debating religion with a Nigerian that is a Christian, and you hear the things coming out of this person's mouth, and you be like, but you have sense, right? Like, you can think. Why can't you just try to imagine? Why can't you just try to use your brain and not rely on what your Bible is talking about? Why can't you just for a second consider that what you claim to believe in is not an original belief system of Africa itself? I mean, this is something that was forced on us by the white man during colonization. In fact, the Africans that were taken to the Western countries like Portugal and Spain and America itself, when Christianity was like, they tried to force Christianity on them, and as in, it took a while for them to, like everything else, it took a while for them to eventually fall for it. It took a while for them to, as in, for the slaves to actually fall for Christianity, because they held on to the beliefs that they brought from back home. They held on to their gods. They held on to their own belief system. But with the whip and cane and punishment and starvation and suffering, eventually they broke, and that is how they became Christians. It's not like they gave their lives to Christ willingly. It's not something that was done willingly, bro. The Africans were considered apes by the white man. They were considered a lesser race. They were considered to be, baboons, apes. They were considered to be just subhumans. And so why would somebody that is already enslaving you, like why would somebody that is already enslaving you want to give you eternal life, want to put you in a position where both of you will be equals? Does that try to make that make sense? Do you understand? So when you try to make make these points to the average Nigerian that you are unfortunate enough to be debating, for some strange reason, they just don't see it. They always revert back to God knows all, and you have to give your life to Christ, and you have to make like there is this excuse that they give that religion, like Christianity, is not a religion. That Christianity is a lifestyle, and when you're in the lifestyle, you understand and then you just want to slap them, God, and then you just want to bro, are you okay? Like you understand, it's not even that this is speculation, like this is a fact that religion, Christianity itself, was brought to Africa by the white man, and it was forced on Africans. Like there's this book, I'm going to put the book here, called Why Europe Underdeveloped Africa. Like if you read the book, you're going to understand that the whole idea of Christianity coming to Africa was not something, as in another book again that I can point out to you. I don't know if anybody has read Things Fall Apart. My mom has read Things Fall Apart. Did that not make any sense to you? That's the reason why, did that not make any sense to you, bro? Like fucking read Things Fall Apart, or read how Europe underdeveloped Africa, and you understand well that this is not something that was given freely to the Africans. This is something that it's a scam. It was a scam. The white man is always tricky. White people are always very tricky. They don't come to you, they don't destroy you directly. They destroy you indirectly. And this is what they did to Africans, and this is what they did to the African mind. They enslaved us mentally, and they used religion to enslave us. They used religion to take away everything that we had. They used religion to change Africa in general. And Africa is still suffering for it till today. And that brings me to my next point. The point where religion now is so rampant in Africa, Nigeria especially. Like Nigeria has there are a lot of churches in Nigeria. There are a lot of worship houses in Nigeria. Like everywhere you turn to in Nigeria is a church. Do you understand? And it's crazy. It's crazy. And the worst part of it is that I believe wholeheartedly, that 99.99% of all the pastors in Nigeria know that God does not exist. Because if they actually believed that the God of the Bible, like the actual God of the Bible, the one portrayed in the Old Testament and also in the New Testament, if the pastors in Nigeria actually believe that this God exists, I don't think that they will be behaving the way that they're actually behaving today. Not even only pastors self, Nigerians in general. If the Nigerians that always claim to be religious and always claim to be in a relationship with God, which by the way is not the only religion where its believers are in relationships with their different gods and their individual gods and stuff like that. I mean, let's use Buddhism for example, or one of the many Indian religions, right? These are people that are in actual relationships with the deities or the entities that they are worshipping. If you compare the behavior of a Buddhist to the behavior of a conventional or an average Christian, there is a large difference there. Where a Buddhist, he actually lives the life. Do you understand? Meanwhile, in Nigeria, a Christian, just lives their life based on the fact that Jesus already died for their sins, and so if they don't sin, basically Jesus died for nothing. Even though they don't come out to say it out loud. This is the way they live. By the way they live, you will understand that these people are making Jesus pay, as in they are making the price that Jesus paid to be worth it. You understand? The death on the cross, they are making it to be worth it. Because I mean, if Christians don't sin, that means Jesus died for nothing. That's just the reality of it. So back to the Nigerian pastors, right? I am, like I said earlier, 100% sure that most pastors in Nigeria don't believe in God. If they did, not even only the pastors, if the Christians in Nigeria actually believe that the God that they claim to believe in is the God of the Bible, not some, neo-Christianism kind of idea of God, not some superficial or pantheistic idea of God. I mean the actual God of the Bible, right? The one that created Adam and Eve, the one that is apparently the father of Jesus, like the Trinity, right? If the average Christian in Nigeria believes that God exists, I think Nigeria will be a different place, because we already know it's already established that Nigeria is a place where humanity itself is dying. You understand? People no longer care about one another. People no longer care about each other. Everybody's kind of like becoming increasingly selfish, which admittedly I'll attribute to the hardship that is going on, because it is a biological fact that when there is strife, everybody kind of retreats and everybody becomes reticent and everybody becomes more selfish, and crime increases, and hate increases, and spite increases, and evil actually increases in society where there is economic hardship and where there is suffering and where there is no progress. Look at countries like Brazil, look at countries like Venezuela, even though Venezuela is kind of like improving today. Countries like South Korea, countries where war-torn countries like Afghanistan and Palestine and all these places, right? Where there is hardship, where there's suffering, where there is no progress. Like, these are the kind of things that you're going to see in those societies. Meanwhile, in societies where there is abundance, where there is progress, where it is technologically advanced, you won't see a lot of crime. You won't see a lot of, as in, example, Japan. Example, the Scandinavian countries. Do you understand? All these rich countries. Example, Monaco. Like, even though these places are not particularly religious or predominantly Christian, like, everybody in Japan, there's something they call the honor system, where you can go to a store, right? I'm sure everybody knows about this, but let me just try to, maybe my people, Nigerians watching this might not know. Like, you can go to a store in Japan, right? And there's nobody in the store, and you want to buy something. You can pick up what you want to buy and leave your money and go. Like, this is just how trustworthy. This is just how much trust there is in Japan. Like that. That's why they call it the honor system. Like, you can go, like, there's this video I was watching one time where somebody wanted to buy a crate of eggs, and there was literally nobody there, and just like picked up the amount of eggs that he wanted and dropped the appropriate amount and left. Like, that kind of society is where, like, as in, where one wishes to live in, where one wishes to be. And so, but we don't have that kind of thing in Nigeria because of what? Understandably, Nigeria is a place where there is hardship. Nigeria is a place where there is economic difficulty and no progress and stuff like that. But then again, that's not an excuse for people who claim to be, worshippers of the divine, who claim to be worshippers of the Most High, who claim to be worshippers of the one true God. Because Nigerians, like, if you claim that, if the average Nigerian can say that, the God that they are worshiping is not the one true God, like, I mean, yeah, sure, no problem. Like, nobody's going to like bat an eye if you misbehave. But for you to claim that, you're worshiping the main God, the one true God, the God of heaven and earth, the God that created everything, but yet you still go about, living your life in a way where you're looking for how to cheat the next person, you're looking for how to scam the next person, you're looking for how to be indifferent actually about the next person, you're looking for, like, when somebody asks for help, it will be very difficult for them to find help. And so there is no kindness in Nigeria. Everybody has this shine your eye mentality where, nobody wants to get scammed and nobody wants to get taken advantage of, because that's just how Nigeria is as a whole. And then you come to the pastors, right? These pastors that take advantage of everybody in Nigeria. Like, all the believers in Nigeria, they take advantage of them. And this, I'm talking about 99.9999%. I'm not going to say 100% because there still might be that very tiny as in there still might be somebody, right, that, actually wholeheartedly believes in God, like for real, for real, for real believes in God, and also sticks to what the Bible says, doesn't collect tithes and offering every Sunday, doesn't, talk about prosperity all the fucking time, calls out the government for their injustice and their incompetence, like behaves Christ like for real. But I'm yet to see that pastor. That person is non-existent. But that's why I'm just saying 99.99% of all the pastors in Nigeria are fake, and they don't believe in God, and they know within themselves that they don't believe in God. But this is the best, as in it is the easiest way to make money in Nigeria. If you're a psychopath, if you're narcissistic, the easiest way is to become a pastor. Just be somebody that knows how to speak well. Just be an orator. Just be somebody that that can command crowds. You're going to be very successful as a pastor. And so they use that ability. That is their ability to talk well and speak well, to scam people, to lead people astray, and they know what they are doing. Like the pastors in Nigeria know exactly what they are doing, because if they didn't, there is no such thing as if they didn't, because bro, they know exactly what they're doing. The Nigerian pastors know precisely what they're doing. They know that the God of the Bible does not exist. They also know that Nigerians don't read, and because they know Nigerians don't read, or should I say Nigerians don't have the time to read, because of how, because of the structure of the country itself. Like everybody has to, there is this constant spirit of hustling. Everybody has to be on their toes at all times. So there's no time for leisure. As in, there's no time. People will always go out, right? I'm not going to say that there's no time for leisure. There's not enough leisure time, basically, to grab a book, unless you're the kind of person that actually likes reading. And believe me, people who love to read in Nigeria, a lot of them don't believe in God. A lot of them don't believe in, because if you love to read and you've picked up the Bible and you've read the Bible cover to cover and you have sense, there is no way that you still want to believe in God. There is no way that you still want to subscribe to that religion. There is no way that you still want to be part of that ideology or be part of that belief system, because based on the fact that you know how to read, and because you know how to read, you're able to have the sense of deduction, you're able to have logic, you're able to have reasoning, and you've applied that to several other books that you have read. It will be impossible for you not to also apply it to the Bible if you have read the Bible. So why will you continue to remain a Christian when you have figured out the facts for yourself, and when you've realized that, oh, this Bible, first of all, is not complete. Secondly, it was written by man. Thirdly, there are a lot of mistakes in the Bible. There are a lot of contradictions in the Bible. Fourthly, the Bible is not even predominantly Christian in nature. The Bible belongs to the Jews. Christianity is one of three Abrahamic religions. That is Judaism, Christianity itself, and Islam. And they all borrow from each other. Anyway, the Christianity and Islam borrows a lot from Judaism, and Islam actually borrows a lot from Christianity. So why would you continue to remain, or why will you continue to believe in something that is incorrect and is also outdated? Like, if the God of the Bible implemented scientific reasoning in the Bible that can still be applied today and still makes sense today, if the disease and germ theory was in the Bible, like if things in the Bible are actually things that somebody can apply to their lives today, there will be no, that would be a very, very compelling, that would be compelling enough to even actually want to believe in the God itself. Another thing again Christians have to understand is that the Bible is not the only religious text or the only religious book where talking about loving your neighbor or being a good human being, or being being righteous or being moral. The Bible is not the only book that talks about that. There are so many other religious texts that, I mean, go and read the laws of Manu, right? That's one book that comes to mind. Go and read the Bhagavad Gita. Like, there are so many other religious texts that, that try to make people, that as in tries to make people be as in better, tries to make humans better, like tries to teach humans how to be better, how to be enlightened and stuff like that. The Bible is not the only book that talks about, angels and gods and demons and fantastic things that happen. Like, it's not the only book. Like that, when Christians like to talk, Nigerian Christians like to, put the Bible in this like category of where it is untouchable and there is no other book like it. It's just false. You just have not read enough books. That is just the truth about it. You just have not read enough books to come to that conclusion that your Bible is the best. It's not the best. There are so many others that are a lot more detailed and go into depth. As in, just that are richer than the Bible, basically. So, the pastors in Nigeria, like I was talking about, are fake and they don't believe in God. And also, if they believed in God, right? The way Nigerian pastors behave, with how fucked up and how lazy they are, and how conniving and slithering and fucking scammy Nigerian pastors are, it doesn't look to me like they actually believe in God. They always talk about wealth. They always talk about money. They call them prosperity preaching pastors or prosperity preaching churches, right? All these prosperity preaching churches. The only thing that they seem to care about is money. And this ties to the point I was trying to make earlier about how money is actually the god that Nigerians worship. There's nothing else that they know in the Bible except money, except tithing. For pastors or prominent pastors like David Oyedepo and Iye Adeboye and Chris Oyakhilome and fucking David Ibiume, for them to in general talk about how if you don't pay your tithe you're going to go to hell, or if you don't bring your first fruits you're going to go to hell, or if you don't if you don't bring offerings to God you're going to go to hell. Like, everything, all their preachings about hell is based on consequences of you not giving them some form of financial, like it's based off of you not giving them money, basically. Like, if you don't do this, if you don't bring your money, if you don't give them money, you're going to go to hell. Like, this is what they talk about all the fucking time. And also, they make obscene claims. There's this video where, what's his name, Iye Adeboye was talking about how he was drinking tea with God. And then you ask yourself, not even that you wonder, you ask yourself, how is it that actual human beings, right? Because the churches are not empty. They are mega churches. And a mega church is a church that is considered to have at least 2,000 weekly fucking visitors. Visitors, is that the right word? Like 2,000, as in every Sunday they have up to like 2,000 people worshiping in their churches every fucking Sunday. So that's what makes them mega churches, right? So all these people, like, it's not possible that all of them just shut their brains off and just, as in they don't, like, there's no thoughts there. It's just not possible, right? Like, how is it that all these people are just willing to be brainwashed, they are willing to be deceived by all these pastors? Sometimes it doesn't make any sense to me. So when these pastors say all these things, and then there are all these people that are just there sitting down and listening to it and receiving it and swallowing it hook, line, and sinker without questioning or without any doubts or anything, it baffles me when a pastor will say that he was having tea with God, and then people will clap and applaud and believe him. When a pastor, like all these pastors that do miracles, like you see a lot of pastors that do fake miracles with the same person. Like, we are fortunate enough to be in the internet age where these kind of things it's difficult for you to hide them. Like, it's difficult for you now to hide, because everybody knows about this. There is this lady that has kind of like her arm is crippled, and she's the favorite of most of these pastors. She's their favorite. So she goes to different churches and she gets quote unquote healed by them. And everybody knows now that it's fake, right? Even when it came to light that, oh, this person is being used by all these pastors to do fake miracles. Like the pastors, they tried their best to kind of like make excuses for it that, oh, they didn't know. But I mean, come on. If it, like okay, there's this story in the Bible where the woman with the issue of blood, right? She had the faith that if she just touched Jesus' garments, that she was going to get healed. And Jesus was not even, he didn't even know. He was just preaching, he was just talking about, he was just like gisting, right? And then the woman touched him and he felt power leave him. You understand? He felt power leave him. This video is already getting too long. Maybe there's going to be a part 2. He felt power leaving him, right? So all these pastors that claim to have power, right? How would you, like, if you actually claim to have power and your power is from God, supposedly, how don't you know that this person is fake? Like, this person is faking it. Like, I mean, the whole thing is just stupid, right? The whole thing is just so fucking stupid. There's going to be a part 2 about this. It's already getting too long. And so let me just stop with this, right? I actually don't believe in God because there are so many reasons and there are so many more reasons to give. Probably I'm going to do, like I already said, I'm going to do a part 2 very soon. But so I don't believe in God because maybe I'm going through economic, or maybe I'm broke. God. Or maybe I'm broke. AI is taking over everything, man. I don't believe in God because maybe I'm broke or anything like that. These are just part of the. It's not something that, oh, I don't believe in God because maybe I'm angry with God, maybe because He has not blessed me, or any of that nonsense. That is not it. I want you people to understand that the reason why I don't believe in God is because there are so many religions on earth, thousands of religions on earth, and just because you were conveniently born in this particular geographical location where the predominant God of that location happens to be the Christian God, doesn't automatically mean that that God is the one true God. There are people that are born in other geographical locations that have their own belief systems, right? Even people born in other times, people born in the past, people born in the Amazon. Like, okay, for example, now the people that exist in the Amazon, right? Or the North Sentinels, or these Bushmen, or the Australian Aboriginals, like all these people that have not yet caught up to civilization. What happens to, have you ever asked yourself what happens to them when they die? Like, the Bible talks about how Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life, and nobody goes to the Father except through Him. So what then happens to these people who have never heard about Jesus, who have never heard about the God of the Bible? Like, have you ever asked yourself what happens to them? So these are just one of the many reasons why I don't believe in God. Not because I'm broke. You understand? Not because I'm going through financial hard times or anything. That is not it. So yeah, that's that about that, man. I don't know how enjoyable this was, but if you listen to this point, man, thank you for chilling with me. Thank you for giving me your listening ears, and don't forget to like rate the podcast on Spotify. Follow me on Spotify. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at General Prime 1. And yeah, I appreciate all the love I'm getting, even though they're so small. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? I appreciate all the support and stuff like that. So thank you for chilling with me. Thank you for giving me your listening ears. And yeah, that's that about that, man. I'll talk to you guys later. All right. Bye, everybody.